time, my life is going on.
Good day, I am Jannah Gabrielle B. CARAGA. Today, we have Miss Miranda and Mr. ORLINA to defend their standpoint. And for this topic, Mr. ORLINA would be affirmative, while Miss Miranda would be negative. Without further ado, let's hear first from Mr. ORLINA. Why do you find gender-neutral restroom good?
Gender-neutral restrooms are essentially an excellent approach to make a space accessible and welcoming to people of all genders, which for all intents and purposes is quite significant. They make it basically possible for transgender people and anyone who don't identify with a gender to use a toilet without fear of harassment or embarrassment. Which is very significant. They also, for the most part, allow cisgender people to experiment with other gender identities without having to use an uncomfortable restroom. This literally is a terrific approach to support those who mostly are figuring out their gender identity. It has also allowed gender neutral people to use the toilet without fear of being judged. Gender neutral restrooms are important not only for the LGBTQA plus community, but also for non-binary people, those with particular needs, special needs, and others who need to be reminded that who they are matters. A gender neutral restroom is essential for non-binary and gender non-conforming identities to all of our intent purposes be validated, or so they thought. It's also incredibly cost-effective and efficient for business owners. Owners particularly save substantial square footage by having a single restroom for all users, which may essentially be specifically put it to greater use. Many difficult concerns mostly confront us in today's society. Contrary to popular belief, the gender-neutral restrooms particularly is one of these challenges, which is quite significant. The gender-neutral restrooms objective really is to offer a space where people of all genders may use the restroom. Some individuals have basically found this difficult, but it is an important shift that must be done. Men's and women's toilets aren't the only ones with gender-neutral facilities. This includes those who are neither women nor men or are gender non-conforming, as well as individuals who have male or female caretakers or actually personal attendants in a major way. It's cost-effective, plus it conveys a greater message that it is an inclusive environment for everyone in a subtle way.
Thank you for that informative and convincing stand. For the opposite side, let's hear it from Miss Miranda. On what part did you demonstrate against his?
Gender-neutral restrooms hinder people from their positive rights and instigate spots of opportunity for sexual abusers. These public spaces serve as an accommodation for non-conforming individuals, specifically for the trans. Yet the objective of making it inclusive for all just substantiated the fact that these types of restroom evoke discomfort, promote disease-ridden spaces, and produce filthy crime scenes. Gender-neutral restrooms may help to alleviate waiting times, but it proliferated potential and imminent sexual violence. If these public spaces are mandated, potential cases in a gender-neutral restroom will outstrip the potential cases in a single-sex restroom. Furthermore, it bestowed nothing but discomfort. It not only propels potential anxieties and threats, but it also causes detrimental effects for everyone's health. With respect to this claim, Paresis or shy bladder syndrome is a form of social anxiety that prevents sufferers from being able to go to a toilet in the presence of others. The aforementioned psychological term tends to be underreported despite the fact that it is surmised to affect 4 million men and women in UK, whereas no data regarding how gender-neutral restrooms affect bladder shyness. It is reasonable to assume that the issue is inclined by the presence of members of the opposite sex. Above all, the enforcement of these public spaces for its whole community did not result into inclusivity at all. Restrooms are separated based upon their biological sex and not upon their identified gender. However, it is not applicable to all cases. If an individual is a transgender and uses the gender-neutral restrooms, inclusivity is not mirrored for them for the rights to use a restroom that corresponds with their identified gender were debunked and disregarded due to the presence of these public spaces. Because inclusivity is only promoted if we will allow them to use the restroom in which they identify with and not establishing gender-neutral public spaces.
Thank you. That was detailed and logical exposition, Miss Miranda. Both sides can be right and considered as reasonable points. The affirmative side said that the gender-neutral restrooms are beneficial not only to those who are part of LGBTQIA+ community, but also to those people that have special need, just like who has a personal attendant or male or female caretakers. Moreover, for company owners, it also extremely cost-effective and efficient. While in the negative side states that gender-neutral restrooms may obstruct people's positive rights and creates opportunities for sexual offenders, and also fuels possible fears and dangers, and also has a negative impact on everyone's health. And in my opinion, I don't also agree in establishing gender-neutral restrooms in any establishments because just like Ms. Miranda states, that it opened opportunities for sexual abusers and pedophiles. These assumptions might lead to an increase in sexual harassment, since it could induce other people to assume that they are free to use the restroom. Even though this project aims to decrease the number of discomforts to those non-binary people, which only covers roughly 0.6% of the world's population, according to Williams Institute, but in exchange, it can produce discomfort to those not considered as non-binary, which covers 99.4% of the world's population, according also to the Williams Institute. Those 99.4% is discomforts are those people that are not comfortable sharing restrooms with opposite gender. In addition, a lot of people that are not used to this idea in restrooms might be confused, because I know that this new idea is hard to explain in our society that we already use in the traditional restrooms, the men's and women's restroom. It may lead to trouble and misunderstanding with others. This opens the possibility of increased number of discomfort and criticism to other genders. Rather than achieve our goal to decrease the number of criticism and insult the new welcome gender, the LGBTQIA, we will fail to achieve it. Instead of creating new restroom to separate other genders, why not educate others to accept them with no judgment in what restrooms they use? We'd like to close the show by thanking these two individuals for imparting such significant views. We would also like to send our gratitude to Mr. De Castro for instructing us to do this presentation. To the viewers, please be aware on these kind of issues. For being socially aware, make difference. Again, thank you.